Hi guys, welcome back to my channel, Allie's Book Nook. Today I'm going to share with you the 16 books that I acquired for the month of January. But first I want to share with you two quick bookish items that I also got in January. Okay, the first one you can see right here. This is a little sign that says Thriller Drive. I got this at Michael's. They actually have a literary section, and I don't get out there very much, so I didn't realize that. But I think it's something they always have, and they just switch out the merchandise. And thrillers are kind of my jam, and so I had to get that for my library. It actually chipped a little bit on the way home, and so I just colored it in with a Sharpie, and that's fine because that side's going to be facing the other way. The other item I got is a Scentsy warmer. I am actually also a Scentsy consultant, and I used to have a Harry Potter warmer behind me here. The Sorcerer's Stone warmer. Well, that actually, I ended up selling that. I haven't decided if I'm going to replace it with the same one, but in the meantime, I decided to get this little book warmer. So it says, our home, our life, our story, and it's books. And this is an element warmer, so it doesn't take a light bulb or anything. So I'm going to figure out how I want to display that. I actually am going to be kind of redoing my bookshelf. I'm going to be unhauling a bunch of books, and I'll do a video on that with you guys and just kind of getting it organized better. But anyway, let's dive into the books that I got in January. So I got some new, some used. We'll start with the new. There are 5 books I got for Christmas that didn't arrive until January. So the first of those is actually the Wayward Pines trilogy by Blake Crouch. And I actually started this one yesterday. So this is a series, like a sci-fi thriller trilogy, and really excited about this. I actually already owned the first one, but to buy the second and third books separately, it was actually going to be more expensive than to just buy the trilogy new. And so my used copy of Pines, I haven't read it yet, but I will unhaul that probably at a little free library, and then I'm really excited. This is really good so far, so watch for my review on that series. I love Blake Crouch. He's pretty much an auto-buy author for me. And then the next book that I got for Christmas I got a gift card for Christmas for Amazon, so I was able to get 5 books with it. That set, and then 2 other books, and one of them is The Marriage Act by John Marrs. And I read the one by John Marrs in January, which I will talk about in that video, but he has a few books, I think 4 that are, maybe 5 that are in like this they call it speculative fiction, so kind of like a dystopian world. And the first one that I read is The One, and then The Marriage Act is in the same universe. So is The Family Experiment, and I forget what, there's one about self-driving cars and maybe one other one. But anyway, I really like The One, so I want to dive into this one as well, The Marriage Act. Okay, the last book that I got with my Amazon gift card is Noelle Eiley, Forget You Saw Her. So this is the standalone prequel to one of my all-time favorite books, Ask for Andrea. Do I have that back here? Oh. Ask for Andrea. So this is like one of my all-time favorite books, and she's one of my all-time favorite authors. So this book was amazing. Came out a couple years ago. So people were asking, who is Andrea? Because she's not really talked about in the book. Well, this is a story about Andrea. Forget You Saw Her. So you can read it as a standalone. You don't have to have read Ask for Andrea first. But I've heard really good things about this, and I'm very excited to dive into that. And then I went to Barnes & Noble, which I usually don't do. But I ended up getting 2 books for like $32, which was pretty good. This book absolutely beautiful. And it was 50% off. They were having 50% off some of their hardcovers. And that is The Measure by Nikki Ehrlich. So someone recommended this book to me. A fellow reader recommended this book to me, and she told me about the premise. It sounded really interesting, so I wanted to read it. And then I saw this beautiful edition there. I had to get it. So we have the cover, we have the sprayed edges, we have the silk bookmark, and these beautiful pages with the foil. Yeah, I'm in love with this edition. And I'm hoping that I love the story. This also sounds like it's kind of a maybe dystopian speculative fiction genre. So yeah, really looking forward to that. And one more new book that I got. I was excited to see this. I just kind of stumbled upon it at Barnes & Noble, and this is called The Broken Room by Peter Clines. So Peter Clines, I used to be really into him several years ago. He is a sci-fi author, and he wrote 14, The Fold, Paradox Bound, and I hadn't heard anything about him for a while. He also, I think, has some kind of expat comic series. I haven't read those, but yeah, so I saw this. I was like, oh my gosh, he has, I guess it's not that new of a book. It's new to me. This came out, 2022. And so this sounds like another sci-fi kind of maybe dystopian book. This actually sounded similar in plot to like The Institute by Stephen King, which is on my TBR, or maybe like Stranger Things, that kind of thing. It's about like gifted kids and like experiments and stuff with them. So actually on the back it says The Professional Meets Stranger Things for a heart-stopping ride through Clines America. And his last 3 books that I read, they were kind of all in the same universe, and they had a couple reoccurring I don't want to say characters, but a couple of things that were reoccurring throughout them. So I'm wondering if we'll see any of that in this book. And if so, if I'll remember it, because it's probably been close to 10 years since I read any of his books. But I really like him, and I was really excited to see that. So that is it for my new books. Let's move on to the used books. Okay, the first one I have here, I was really excited. I wanted to get this book at Barnes & Noble, but it was like $30-something. So I called my used bookstore, and they said, well, we'll call you when we get it in. And it was like a couple days later they got it in. And that is The Buffalo Hunter Hunter by Stephen Graham Jones, sorry. Buffalo Hunter Hunter. So this is a horror book, and you can see I paid $15 for it. And actually, I feel like I've been sleeping on this author, and actually picked up another one of his books. But he's pretty well known, I would say. He's a Native American author. His books have been nominated for Bram Stoker Awards, and he is from the Blackfoot Indian tribe, Native American tribe, which is like right in my backyard. So pretty much. So he's pretty much a local-ish author to me. In the same area, we don't have a whole lot of like famous local authors around here, so that's pretty cool. And this story actually takes place it's like in the 1800s, and there is a member of the Blackfoot tribe that goes to confess to a priest, and he actually, this Native American is, my cat's digging around in a bag. He's a vampire. And so this is kind of mixed media with the story of that, and then the priest's journal writings, which have been found years later. So I actually heard about this on a YouTube video, and it sounded really interesting, and that's what got me looking into this author. And I'm like, how do I not know about him? I love these types of stories, and I'd love to support a local author. So anyway, Buffalo Hunter Hunter, and very excited to read this. It's a very long wait on my Libby hold, so I might just read it on its own. The next book I have these all like on a little shelf here, so I'm going to be reaching. I got this at Goodwill for $2, The Only One Left by Riley Sager. I have read this book. I do own the hard copy, but I lent it out to a friend who's currently reading it. But I'd rather have a paperback, so I'll either let her keep that or I'll unhaul it and I'll have the paperback version. This is my favorite Riley Sager book to date. I did read one this January that I did not like, and I'll talk about that in my January reading wrap-up. The next one I have here, also from Goodwill, $2, Kristen Hanna, Winter Garden. Love Kristen Hanna. Already put this on my holds. I definitely want to read more of her this year. Next one. Oh, we'll wait a second to talk about that. I might actually be missing one here. I am missing one here. So my local bookstore, one of my local used bookstores had a deal for buy one, get one half off on used books. And so I got Local Woman Missing by Mary Kubica, but I don't have it here. I'm not sure where it is. And then the other one I got is My Heart is a Chainsaw, also by Stephen Graham Jones. So hopefully I like him. This is actually a trilogy. So if I like this one, I'll go ahead and get the other two. And then the other book of his I want to read, I think it's called The Good Indians. But anyway, in looking into him more, it sounds like his work is pretty solid. So, looking forward to checking out that trilogy. And the next one I have from that same bookstore, but a different trip. They have a clearance section, so I got this used for $2.99 On a Quiet Street. Oh, My Heart is a Chainsaw. That's a horror book. This is a thriller book. I think it's like a domestic thriller. So, yeah, I'm excited to try that out. I think that is on Kindle Unlimited as well. And then same bookstore, I got a Darcy Coates book, The Hunting of Roquefort House, and I got that for $5.99. I've been on a little bit of a Darcy Coates kick lately. I just read 2 of her books back to back. One of them I'll be talking about for January's reads, and one of them, which was my favorite book so far of the year, and then one of them for February. But yeah, I'm excited. I love Darcy Coates. She's a horror author, although one book of hers, Dead of Winter, it's more thriller, I would say. But I love how her books are so well written. She doesn't have to use any kind of profanity, swearing, sexual situations, but the way she writes is still very creepy. There is like some body horror kind of stuff, but to me that just takes such talent to be able to write such a creepy atmospheric book without having to be vulgar about it. So she's like one of my favorite authors, and I definitely want to read more of her books this year. 2 books left. Okay. 3 books left, actually. Ooh, I was excited about this one. This actually I did get new. I got it at TJ Maxx, and I didn't even know that they sold books at TJ Maxx. But this is Pretty Girls by Karen Slaughter, and I basically got it because of the sprayed edges. And it was $7.99, which is pretty good for a new book. So it says Sisters, Strangers, Survivors. And I actually got a copy of this used for like $1, but I like this version a lot better. So I'll be reading this one and passing that other one along. Yeah, I was so excited when I found this at TJ Maxx. So I'll be reading that soon. That's a thriller book. I've heard it's a little dark, so we'll see. Okay, so Goodwill had both of these books, so I thought I might as well get both. The same author. The first one is Cutting for Stone by Abraham Verghese. I think this is historical fiction / contemporary fiction. I don't know. I years ago started to listen to the audio, but this was published in 2009. I didn't get very far. So we'll see. I really didn't even get far enough to know what it's about. But it's a very popular book. And then his other book, I think this is his newest, is The Covenant of Water. And yeah, best-selling author of Cutting for Stone. I think this is another spanning the years of 1900 and 1977. So maybe it would be considered historical fiction. Anyway, this is a big book, 724 pages, but it's just a larger copy anyway, big old hardback. So paperbacks at Goodwill were $2. This was $3. So that is all of the books that I acquired in the month of January. Like I said, I'm already reading the Wayward Pines trilogy, and it's really good so far. So watch for my review on that. Let me know if you've read any of these, if there's any that you would recommend or not recommend, and what books you have acquired lately. Watch for my video of my reading wrap up for January, and I hope to catch you there. Bye, guys.